What is up? I'm Brendan Detzler, and on today's episode of Future Watch, we're going to be profiling Halifax Moosehead forward Jordan Dumais. Now, if you're looking at this video and thinking, who the hell is Jordan Dumais? Chances are you are not alone and that it is pretty justifiable. Dumais is ranked anywhere from the mid-second to fourth round among the big independent scouting agencies. And at 5'9", 165 pounds, he's not exactly the big-bodied prospect many scouts dream about. However, when you start to look at Dumais' production over this past season, you have to wonder if he makes an excellent candidate as a risky boom-bust type pick in this year's draft. Now, one of the big arguments about Dumais' production is that he was on a team with some pretty solid forwards that might have helped kind of contribute to his high point totals. So Zachary Leroux, really familiar with from last year. Elliot Denoyer, really solid prospect as well for Philadelphia. However, what's really interesting, if you look at Zachary Leroux, he actually missed the last little chunk of the season. So his last game of the year was on April 9th, where with Dumais, he actually saw quite a bit of production come kind of after April 9th. So you see kind of following up with that 4-point game, hit a nice 6-point game, another 5-point game, a 4-point game. And all of a sudden, Dumais actually ended his last 10 games of the season with 25 points. So anytime that a draft eligible player, especially a player who's younger, on the younger side with that April 15th, 2004 birthday, is putting up those kind of point totals at the end of the year, that really opens a lot of scouts' eyes, typically, depending on the player. All right, so this is where things really get insane when you're looking at Dumais' production over the last year. So looking at the QMJHL's all-time seasons over the last 20 years for draft-eligible players. So we're going to do the last 20 seasons, so 01, 02 until 2022, 20-game minimum point per game. We see that Jordan Dumais ranks 9th over that period, ahead of guys like Jonathan Huberdeau, Nico Hischier, Claude Giroux, Timo Meier, Jacob Voracek, even Maverick Bork, who's really turning into a star here, Philip Zadina, and by a pretty large margin for some of these guys lower on. So really incredible looking at the season that he has. You're seeing that he's kind of in the same conversation as guys like Nathan McKinnon, Sean Couturier, two guys that were considered potentially to go first overall in their draft years, Nikolai Ehlers as well. And you see this and you really kind of see from a points perspective that Dumais put together a close to a kind of historic season for draft eligible players, especially that he's on the younger side of his draft year at 17. All right, now doing a bit more of a deep dive into the stats of all of the CHL draft eligible players this year. Gone ahead and sorted all of the draft eligible players by their total points per game. So sort of I'm getting you lost in this a little bit. Jordan Dumais here is ranked at the top of the list among draft eligible players for this year's draft in this CHL. So with 1.6 points per game, very impressive. You see Shane Wright is around 1.46. So he's got a significant lead over the consensus first overall player who has been considered by some to be a franchise player for years ago, and an even more favorable gap when you get past Matthew Savoy on all of the kind of next crop around there. So with Furcus, Geeky, and then you kind of get into like Matejchuk, which is under a point per game. And then another thing that is always good to look at with Dumais that I look at, and again, really trying not to get too lost in this stuff, but what I really like to see is kind of how his point production is spread out. So we see kind of like what his points look like on a game played perspective and what the breakdown is of how those points are scored. So with 0.75 of those points coming on even strength play, we can kind of see that he's among the top. He's really only behind Shane Wright in terms of how many points scored with like in even strength play. And then with his power play point totals, again, really impressive, kind of the top of his draft. in how many points he's putting up on the power play. So really seems like a guy who can score in a variety of ways or put up points in a variety of ways. He has a really high shooting percentage at 21.43%. I would definitely expect that to regress. He has a great shot, but I just don't really see how that is obtainable. It really isn't for even the best players in the NHL, so it'd be hard to see it for Dumais. All right, so starting with my favorite part of Dumais' game, let's take a look at his elite playmaking ability.
Around Sinet, out here for Vinicek, right pass to Dumais in front, they scored! Denoyer will pass toward the line, Dumais got it toward the net, a shot, they score! Elliott Denoyer!
I found this play extremely impressive. Dumais is able to process his passing options incredibly quickly and then makes a very difficult pass cross crease and past two defenders to give his teammate what should have been a goal. I don't know if Dumais just plays a lot of NHL 22, but he really loves the backdoor passes, and it's incredible how he's able to execute them from almost anywhere in the offensive zone, even with a number of defenders in front of the net or near him.
Number 2, Halifax in front, 3-2. They win the faceoff. That's Dumais, side of the net, and they score just like that. Tick-tack.
Dumais is excellent at identifying open areas of the ice, but he's also excellent at identifying open areas of the ice where his teammates are moving into. You have to love the patience Dumais shows in this play. He waits for the defender to go down, show his cards, and then makes a play after it's too late for him to recover from it. This play really shows how dynamic Dumais' playmaking ability is. The fact that he's able to fake a shot that quickly and get it back to a teammate, not only realizing that his teammate's there, but executing that pass right onto his stick is truly incredible.
Do you like apples? How do you like them apples?
All right, so this part of Dumais' game I feel like was already kind of touched on in the playmaking sense, but I really want to talk more about Dumais' offensive awareness and show just why I feel like it is such a strong part of his game. I really like how Dumais has the wherewithal here to see the passing lane, jump up, intercept the pass, and make a really good play. I feel like because Dumais is a bit undersized, he's able to kind of sneak to different parts of the ice undetected. I really like how he utilizes it and has the mind to know what areas he needs to get to make a best play. One thing that really stands out to me is how fast Dumais is able to track pucks. I feel like his mind is able to process the game so quickly, and he's able to realize where deflections and rebounds go a lot quicker than other players on the ice. Again, I feel like his size kind of allows him to sneak by a defender here, and then he's able to receive this pass, and he has that awareness of the open ice to his other side and makes a beautiful play for an awesome goal. Again, just another play where he knew where he needed to go on the ice and was able to sneak by defenders to get there.
There's a shot, another stop. As that'll be held on to by Jacobo. Back now.
I love this play. Dumais makes an awesome pass here, but then he follows up the shot and is able to get on the rebound so quickly and really jam at it.
Jamming away on the Moosehead save made there by Rucci as Boucher was jamming it away.
I love how Dumais kind of gives everything he has to get right to the net and make this play with his awareness. One thing I will comment on, though, is that his stride is a bit ineffective, and it does seem like he needs to work really hard to get there, and that's something we'll talk about soon.
Will bank it off the boards. Puck comes to Catafor, trying to push his way by. Perrault, drop pass for Denoyer, across there for Dumais, and he scores. What a beautiful passing play by the Mooseheads, and I was wondering if that was...
Off that left point, there's Cormier, takes a look, Lowen fires that one. There's a maze of traffic off in front, sponged ahead, and back we go the other way. Here's Elliott Denoyer, steps in, saving rebound!
The local ownership group took over from Leo Guy Morissette. They were looking for a new look and came up with the jerseys the team uses for the most part now. Quick shot in close there by Denoyer. That was
the final strength I wanted to highlight in Dumais' game is his shot. So let's see how he scored some of those 39 goals. I really loved his thought process to execute a cutback here to get away from a defender, and then he just lets a howitzer go in tight. I have absolutely no idea what the goalie was doing on this play, but honestly, it doesn't take away from how impressive the power and accuracy of this shot was from Dumais.
The other way, and just like that, Halifax restore the 2-goal lead.
De mettre 1-0, l'œuvre de William Rouleau.
Look at that release. Actually, you can't because it was too fast.
One of the most important things when evaluating goal scoring ability and prospects is seeing what areas of the ice they score their goals from. Since at the NHL level, goals are typically scored in the danger zone right in front of the ice, you want to look for people who are able to score goals like this one.
Cat of 4, takes it wide, feeds it out in front. Here comes Dumais, scores! Jordan.
This guy must love trigonometry. I swear you can see him break out his protractor for this one.
Down toward the net. Dumais, a shot, he scores! On the left wing shot.
Again, big angles guy.
To Jordan Dumais in the right circle. That's a shot, go! He scores! Jordan Dumais on the power play.
Left in the first period, Eagles.
What I think was really impressive about this goal is how he just kind of nonchalantly got around 3 defenders that were focused on him. The first guy just beats him with that nifty little pass to himself. The second guy realizes he doesn't have a passing lane, and then the third guy shoots over him and kind of uses him as a screen. But this is that great hockey IQ and just an amazing shot.
Picked off by Thomas Belzil, and now a turnover. Jordan Dumais hit a shot, he scores! What a release from Jordan Dumais, and the Mooseheads up by a pair early.
All right, so there's no denying that Dumais is capable of producing at a rate that is consistent with the top of this draft class, and he possesses the offensive tools, namely offensive instincts, passing ability, and shooting ability that places him among some of the top prospects for the 2022 NHL Draft in that regard. However, there are unfortunately a couple areas of Dumais' game that are cause for concern when considering his projectability at the next level. First of all, Dumais' skating ability is flawed. While he is fairly good on his edges and he's able to really push himself to increase his top line speed, his stride requires a significant amount of effort, which somewhat limits his dynamic puck carrying ability while he has the puck on his stick, as he needs to focus on his stride. Additionally, while he's currently able to get to a top line speed that is capable of beating defenders at his current level, the NHL is a much faster game, and people who question whether his skating is good enough to allow him to make the jump to that level are pretty justified. While I'm hopeful that as he puts on more strength, he may be able to improve in this area, the truth is that his mechanics are flawed, and to be an effective undersized player at the NHL level, you typically need to be an above average skater. Also to note with Dumais' game is that he often gets caught behind the play of offensive plays. He has a tendency to be late getting back and even sometimes coasting when there's a player near or passing him to get into a top-notch scoring area. When Dumais is not in the offensive zone, there's times where he gives up on puck battles way too quickly.
Prospect, he's got it. He'll look rink wide to his partner. Allowing a shot, and the netminder James down in front. They score. Patrick Gay. He'll put it past Brady James, who was.
So according to Pick 22, a website that breaks down the production of players from many different leagues, 75% of Dumais' production were primary points, a rate of 1.20 per game, good for first overall for draft eligible prospects in the CHL. While the inefficiencies in Dumais' skating and his lack of size take Dumais out of contention for being a top pick in the 2022 NHL Draft, I truly feel that if a team who has a surplus of picks is in a gambling mood and elects to take Dumais in the later part of the first round, they may just be rewarded with one of the top point producers of this year's draft class down the road. I want to thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Future Watch.